Whoa! And we are live. Welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. Okay, I'm just admitting the other people who are joining us late. We are more than 50 people actually today. Wow.
That's great.
Looking great. So we are here with Francesco, VSK. Let's give another 2 minutes until people sign up. I can see some familiar faces. Evening to all. Okay, let's do a test very quickly to see. Ciao amici, Vlad, yes, thank you. Ian, evening. Hello guys, Joanne. Let me just test whether you guys can see also the chat. I am going to type something in the chat. If you can see it, type something back. We're gonna use this for the Q&A. All visible, Imogen, hey. Imogen, Jordi, Vit, hi Vit. Hi Pascal, Maxim, Lotfi, Elliot, hey guys, Raul, Chab, nice. Martin, hello. Francesco Ferro, Michael, nice to see you all guys. Rafael, okay. Okay, really cool. So I think if someone joins in the next couple of minutes, I'm gonna get them in. But in the meantime, let me introduce what we're gonna do today. We are Home of Sound. We are a media and music platform. We do interviews with DJs, producers, people in the music industry. And during lockdown, we also started doing masterclasses like the one with VSK that you guys are attending today. And we also do one-to-one support for people who want some help in their production or in their branding and releasing. And we started doing also promos, but we can chat about that later. Today, we have a masterclass with one of the best producers out there, at least in my opinion, a person that I really esteem, Francesco in art VSK, who, for those of, I'm sure those of you all know him, but he has released on very iconic labels such as Mord, Soma, 47, Perk Tracks, and he's also launched his own label, VSK Series, about 6 months ago. Francesco is a great producer, a great DJ, and today he's going to show us a lot about sampling and processing audio. So without further ado, let's welcome Francesco. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me, and thank you to all of you for joining. Thank you to HoS Sound for the invitation. It's a great pleasure for me. And so, yes, it's about sampling. It's going to be about sampling today. And for me, sampling is a very important part of the electronic music, of course. And it's a way to have a very personal sound for me. And if you can see in the last 20, 30 years, all the music based on sampling is actually one of the most successful music, like hip hop, for example. And well, of course, I think everyone knows about Daft Punk, Prodigy, and together with this masterclass, HoS Sound will send you some link that I strongly suggest you to watch because are really interesting about sampling. One in the specific is about the track from Prodigy, Slam My Big Shop, that is very, very nice to see. It's very fun. 90% of the sound of the track are based on sampling. And of course, in the time, sampling it got evolved. Now it's much easier. And like in the 19, we need to use like sample like Akai or Emu hardware sampler. Now we got Ableton with 1 million of digital sampler that really handy and really easy to use. Today I'm going to show you some of my personal technique that for me are really, really, really powerful tools to get a very nice sound design. And first of all is granular synthesis, is with granulator, that is a Max device, so actually it's free with Ableton, and is from Robert Enke, one of the guy from Monlock. The other one is Serum. That is a really, really nice and powerful VST. And some of the technique based on FX and so different kind of audio manipulation. So let's start. I prepare a small session for you.
So Francesco, you can share the screen now and also share and just an announcement for everyone, guys. If you have any questions, as soon as you have them, you can type them in the chat, so we can then organize them and ask them to Francesco at the end of the presentation. Okay. Yeah.
So I start the screen share here. Share computer sound, desktop. Okay, here we go.
Perfect. And I'm gonna
see the Ableton.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for this masterclass, I chose a track from Massive Attack for a different reason. First, because I love Massive Attack, and I really like, of course, also this track. And in particular, because with this track, it's really easy to get any kind of sound. So from kick drum, for a powerful kick drum that it can be good also for techno, synthesizer. So it's very, very full of sound inside. So let's start. And so now first I play the session. And let's, okay, perfect. So really. So here I already put kick drum, bass, almost everything. Now I show you every sound. And let's start for the kick drum. Kick drum is really easy. I get from the beginning of the track. And as this is a tool that I always use on production, it is a spectrum analyzer from Roger Nicholson from RMP. Actually, it's out of production, but it's very, very powerful. Here I can see everything about frequency, and for me it's really, really important to visualize graphically the space of the sound. And so for me, spectrum analyzer are really important. And this is a very, very good tool. So as you can see, the kick drum has already a good body on the bass and also on the mid. So I just cut from here the kick drum, very easy. Like this one. What I always do is crop the file, like right button of the mouse and go in crop. So I can easily take the sample from current project, sample, processed, and crop. So here is the kick from the track, the Massive Attack. I always use a simpler, not sampler from Ableton. There is a small difference between these two tools of Ableton. Simpler is more easy, but it's also, for me, it has more feature, and I don't know, I find more comfortable with it. And this is very easy, so I put the sample inside the simpler, like one, and I take the perfect spot from the sample, like here. Can I go a bit louder with Ableton? Just a bit?
Yes, go for it.
A bit louder. So, I have already some process on the kick drum, so like an EQ, a boost on the 60, 50, depends from the kick drum. Here I have this, I put always this, I don't get paid. I use others VST not from Ableton, from other brand. I don't get paid from the brands I would love actually, but because I'm really, really strong plugin, so I'm not sponsoring any brand right now. And so after this, this is a tool that makes very good solo maker. So I put the solo maker on the kick drum. After that, this compression from a filter, and that just to not to compress, but just to give to the kick a bit more attack. And after that, Decapitator from HoS, that is a very powerful saturation plugin. And so let's start again. So this is the first sample. I copy the same sample. I cut the bass and the super high frequency just to have more punch on the mid frequency, mid high, with another plugin called Saturn, another saturation plugin. So here I have the body, sub and medium sub, medium bass frequency. Here it is more the attack, and together it's a nice techno package. So second step, of course, is the bass. Bass is always from the track of Massive Attack. Here you can see this region, that really clean part of the track. So again, crop, and here is the sensor. And now this is the first feature I love on Ableton, especially on Simpler, is the slice mode. You have 3 different modes of reading the sample with Simpler. Classic, that is the normal way to read a sample. Shot, that it's allowed to fade in or fade out. And slice. Slice, it's slice the sample in different small regions. Automatically, it takes the transient of the sample automatically, but you can also move and choose the start of the slice of the sample that you put inside. With another tool from Max, that mono sequencer, I'm going to sequence this sample in a different way from the original sample, like this one. So this is the original. This is the original sample.
Francesco, you can make it a bit louder as well if you want.
Okay, I can move. Okay, this is the original sample. It's quite different right now, and this is it's more rhythmic, and it changed also the sequence of the bass. There are a small process plugin like Isotope Trash that is a very, very nice saturation distortion unit where I use light saturation. So without trash is less energy with it. And I also boost the high frequency to get a kind of what I really like on sampling, of course, from other kind of music, not from electronic music like blues, jazz, is because you can have a really, really dirty sound, not super clean. And so more, for me, my idea of sampling is more dirty is the sound and more is nice the idea. So I really like to emphasize the dirty of the sound. So like a boost on the high frequency, dirtiness. So this is the bass drum. Together with the kick. Okay. I have 2 different groups. One is the kick drum and one is the bass. Together inside another group. So I group everything and I put another saturation from HoS. And I use it to get a kind of glue for the sample. Like this, without. I don't know if you can hear the difference actually. Now I think are more mixed together, kick and bass. quite strong now, saturation. Also about, let's open again the technical analyzer. So we start with, we have already up kick and bass. So it's almost 50% of a techno track actually. One kind of other tools I really like, and it's very easy to get an amazing sound design, is granulator.
Francesco, one question that is coming from the audience is that do you put the effect chain on a group of tracks or on a single track?
What do you mean for a group of track? I mean, I told you. Sorry.
Yeah, you have kick and bass together. So you put the chain of effects on the group or on kick separately and then bass separately?
So I have a layer of 2 kick drum, one with the bass and the body like this one, and it has just an EQ inside. The other one is with an EQ plus a saturation, and these 2 channels are group in one kick group. After that, there is a bass group that actually now is just 1 channel, but sometimes I have also different channel from the bass.
Yeah.
In this case, I think is enough to have this bass sound. So, and now the bass group and the kick group are again grouped together. So, and here you can see, you know, groove, I call groove group. Groove, I mean kick and bass together. And I use to process also this group to glue together the bass and the kick drum, like with a saturation. Sometimes, even in this case, I use not a compressor, but a limiter on the kick drum. So it's really, I don't know if it's working, but I can see again. Yeah, actually it's working out. Even too much now. Yeah, like this one. So actually there are different kind. This is really nice in Ableton 10, because before Ableton 10 it was not possible to group different group of, you were able just to group, to make one solo group, not group of a group. So I don't know if you get me.
Yeah. So basically you do it on single tracks and also
single tracks. So one group for the kick drum, one group for the bass, and together a group again.
Yeah.
So it's clear now?
It is clear, yes.
Okay.
Another question is that the decapitator was set, the dry, wet knob on the decapitator was set to 0. So it was dry. Is it possible or? Okay, no, it's definitely not dry.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, now there is a small, maybe now because it's the difference between, now you can go really crazy with the distortion, but we don't want to distort too much. Some kind of saturation like this. Now there is a 100% maybe. So after that, I told you there are a lot of like one other EQ if you need to EQ more, or compression is also a nice compression plugin, and fat filter sometimes also is fat filter multi-band compressor. Okay, it's clear that kick and bass. Now, granular synthesize. Granulator is again with the Max DSP bundle, and you can get very crazy sounds, and it divides the sample in a small slice, and this slice can be from 1 millisecond to 100 milliseconds. So let's start to have an idea. I put like, this is first, sorry. Okay. I like to use maybe with inside instruments rack. So first of all, the instruments rack. Now I explain the reason, because I like to put it on instruments rack. And after that, Max for Live, instruments, granule tutto. Okay. Macro, okay. So with this instrument track, we have macro. So we can assign this macro control to different parameters of granulator. As we said, granulation divide the sample. So let's choose some part of the track. I can be very this one. There is a voice. There is a nice snare and almost so again crop. And we import inside granulator. So now what I like is to map granulator with my MIDI controller, so I can really jam with my granulator. So we map the first on the file position. File position, let's map. Okay. File position, you select the position, like as you can see here, of the sample that we import. So we just move through the sample in this way. And I also map this one on here, on my MIDI controller. So I can move through the sample. Second parameter is the grain. So map grain here. Okay. And grain just, yes, no, sorry. Just a second, sorry. Okay. With the grain, I can okay. Something is not working, sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay, with the grain, I can choose the length of the grain. So here is very small. Now we can hear the difference. Or longer. Again, with spray, you can randomize the reading of the sample on the side of the selection, like as you can see, now it goes random from left and side. There is scan. Scan is a kind of release of the reading of the sample. And I'm going to map the time of the scan on. And again, I map also on my controller. Okay, here we go. So now we can already start to jam with the granulation. I will put a long note, create another audio track, and I choose the input from granulator 2. Okay. bit of reverb on it. Just a second, I have some problem with time. Right now, I'm going to disability. This one, okay? Okay, right now. Let's see. So I'm going to record everything like a session. And mess around with the parameters like time, try. Okay, here we go. This is the first. Sorry. So this is what we did with this first session of granulation. And for example, this part of the jam session is very good for a kind of bass sound. So again, I can use this part for create another. Sorry, there is problem outside of the. Okay. Together with the part we have. And we can use this sample again with the sequencer from Ableton, from one sequencer. You always need to set the start, the sync point, so it starts with the bar. And now we have a kind of, we can randomize the sequence. You can use a delay. We can randomize the length of the decay of the sampler in this way, from duration. And we have a nice, I think it's a nice percussion, bass drum, I don't know how I can call this sample. We just need to equalize a bit. And to have more rhythmics, I always use sidechain compression. With the key of the drum that is playing now. So this is the first step from the recording of the jam with the granulator tool. Another tool that I really like, we can collect. Actually, on this audio recording, you can get a lot of sound and sound design from. Here there are this noise that we can use as texture together with. Sorry. Just need a bit of equalization.
Amazing, Francesco. One question that is coming from the audience, from Paddy, is did you sidechain to the kick and bass group, or just
with the kick drum.
Just with the kick.
The key almost always the sidechain is from the kick drum. Sometimes I think it's nice also here my sidechain. Sorry, I missed to explain the sidechain compression. Sometimes I use also to create a different sidechain key with a different rhythm, like not in 4/4, but like this, for example. Sometimes really random. Okay, so we have a different key. So this is the first, and it's the same. It's in 4, so it's the same of the kick drum. This is a second key, and we can compress inside chain this other sound from granulation. I just take the really high frequency of this recording and use a kind of noise, because I always want noise in my track. Let's put a compression. And now we are going to choose the side 2, the different rhythm. So it's a kind of irregular sidechain compression. And it's a kind of I don't know, noise, rhythmic noise. We can use always reverb on it also. So with the granulator 2, we already create 2 different sounds. One kind of bass synth or a noisy that we can use like effects or texture, 1 million of other possibilities. So also this sample that I create for is a kind of FX percussion. It's created with the granulation. So this is a brief definition of granulation. Other tools that I really like is wavetable synthesizer.
Francesco, now that we're going to wavetable, there is a question from Alex and Ruben, which is, do you take the note key into account when you're choosing the sounds, or you go with just what sounds good at the time?
I don't really follow the note key, actually. I like to be more free, actually. So I'm not following the
keys, yeah.
The key, actually. I'm not making super melodic stuff, so I'm not really following any kind of melodic rules. So it's more like flow than more a technique about melody and so this stuff. See, it's more experimental. I never use actually melody on my track, so I don't really follow the note.
Yes.
I just use the note just to play, but actually you can also pitch the sample, the granulation. There is also here pitch that also create also FM. Now for this kind of sound that I made now, I don't see the reason to follow the key in my production. So this is a really sound design effect. No? Okay.
Crazy, yes. Amazing.
So now, yeah, it's nice because you can really get amazing and really crazy sounds with the granulator. That's actually it's impossible to get with normal synthesizer. So, and it's really fun also. Sometimes I record for 30 minutes some jam with crazy sample from Jimi Hendrix, classic music also. And as you can hear, completely far from the original sample. Huge amount of reverb on it. Okay, it's always nice. So, second things I would like to show you is Serum. So, wavetable, a wavetable synthesizer is actually here. Okay. Serum is a very, very nice tool for sound design, and it's actually a synthesizer, but this wavetable synthesizer is based on sampling. Because it's based on sampling, I don't know if everyone of you knows about wavetable synthesizer or not. I tell you about briefly about what is wavetable. Wavetable is a table of different waveform. So you have an oscillator that actually has on it, I don't know, in Serum you can get 256 different waveforms. So, and you can move through the wavetable. Now I show you what you can do with that. And we can import just the sample. We can start from scratch on Serum. This is a sound that I made for you now. This is actually a sample from us. Now we can start from scratch. So, Serum. So here we have two different oscillators. Now is a really simple waveform. Now we can go on, we can choose this crop from the track. We drop inside, and there are seven different algorithms that export the sample in the wavetable. You can experiment because there are quite different final result. I almost 90% use this dynamic pitch follow. Okay, now we have the sample inside the oscillator. And as you can see, there are two different views of the sample. This is the wavetable. With these knobs, we can change. And here, you can hear the snare. This is actually this snare here. On the wavetable, there's a small gap. There are a couple of processes that I suggest you to do before using the synth. Is remove DC offset. It's actually an adjustment of the amplitude. And as you can see, there are like 147 waves, but here are silence. So I can remove from here, remove select to the end. Okay. Again, 63. Select to the end. Okay. And also the morph. The morph is how it changes from a waveform to the other. So now it's actually a bit hard changing. With morph, I can choose crossfade, so it's smooth. No problem. Okay. I can put one LFO on the wavetable position. I always like one bar envelope. We can So now it's actually like almost like the original sample. Okay. We can put one filter on it with a different LFO. Okay. And I always use this plugin together, Saturn 2. This is a saturation plugin with this feedback feature. Okay. A small delay on it, on send return. I use this delay from the waves. Already we have a synthesizer, so a very powerful way to get some design. One other cool feature of Serum, and we can process, we have 1 million of different processes of this wavetable. I really like always bend. This is it's a kind of stretch of the sample, as you can see on this view. Stretch the wave like this. And we can put another LFO on the blend. So LF3 envelope. Use a compression to have a more body of the sound, like it's loud. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Amazing.
So from this sample of Massive Attack, it was, I think, it was this one. We create with the wavetables. Actually, it's quite different from the original sample, and it's based on sample. Together with the track. Let's see. You have some question?
Yes, yes, we have a bunch of questions. So one question from Elliot is, when you are creating a track, do you always take one sample and from there you develop your channels, or you tend to have different sources? So you use a sample and then you use something else?
No, I also use normal VST. I have the modular. So 90% of there is a track of mine that is 80% is based on sample. Is one with Scalameria on CRS LTD. Mm-hmm. And actually, sometimes I just spend time to create sounds in this way with Granulator 2, with Serum, and I create a kind of library. Or long recording like the one we did together before, like this one. And I put on a folder and I use maybe like 6 times on 6 other tracks. So there is not always I use other sample. And
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So you changed quite a bit, and there was another. So Robert was saying you can also use Ableton wavetable, no? And drop samples in there. Francesco, have you used Ableton's wavetable already?
Yeah, I use, but I'm not very. I don't. I prefer Serum actually. There is a. It's a very nice tool. Also the wavetable, but I don't use a lot actually.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And
There is
okay.
Pigment actually. It's another VST from the wavetable. It's very good also. Pigment from I think it's from Arturia. I think it's from Artura. It's a very powerful. Serum is very nice because you can see graphically everything. So you can see the movement of the LFO. You can really easily also shape the LFO as you want. Create really crazy movement on the wavetable, like I show you like this one, and so this is what, because it's really intuitive, it's really fast to get a nice sound with Serum. So that's what I like a lot.
That's amazing. And Imogen is suggesting you can rent Serum on Splice.
Yeah, exactly. There is also really demographic things about Serum. You can rent on Splice, it's really cheap also.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks Imogen for the suggestion. We're gonna include it in the links. And okay, another question for you, Francesco, from Pierre. Do you always use Decapitator on drums and Saturn on synths?
I like actually saturation. Yes, of course. Almost always.
Is there a reason why you use, let's say Decapitator just on drums?
I mean, not a specific one, but I can use sometimes Decapitator on a synth and sometimes a Saturn on a drum. There is not a rules. I like actually the sound of the first the A option of saturation from the Decapitator. There is not a rule. I like how it sounds on kick and bass, but you can read. There is also, I showed you before, there is also this other one that is very nice, and Thresh 2, and sometimes you can do the same, saturate with Thresh 2, and it sounds nice the same. So there is not a specific rules about which one I'm going to use on the kick drum, on the bass, on the synthesizer. Saturn is very nice for this feature about feedback. So, and on synthesizer, it's very cool. This feature on feedback, you can choose the frequency of the feedback. Here you can, feedback is, the audio is coming again inside the saturation. You can get these amazing effects that for me it's very nice on synthesizer than more than in the drum.
Okay, nice. And another question related to this from Jay. Do you use more digital effects or analog effects?
Actually, about effects, for me, digital are the most original, modern way to get a nice sound design. I have H9 that is Eventide from Eventide. That is an hardware. It's right here, but actually it's still digital. It's hardware, but it's still digital. 90% of the effects actually also are hardware, so are physical, are are digital. They're not really analog reverb. There is a spring reverb actually, the only analog reverb, really analog. So digital. The question is digital.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. And okay, Chris is saying amazing sounds. Thank you, Chris. And another question from Jay is, Do you use samples and also you integrate your modular in the
Yeah,
production?
a lot. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, one nice thing with sampling is this recording we can combine with other synthesizer, normal synthesizer, VST or the modular, and you combine together to create maybe, so you can layer actually the one synthesizer plus the same progression with this part of the samples. So yeah, I combine both actually. I like to use both.
Pretty good. And now we have a bunch of questions on your return channels, Francesco.
Okay.
So how do you capture sounds when sending sounds to delay and reverbs return channels from Ruben?
Can you repeat, sorry?
Yeah, how do you capture sounds? So I guess, how do you record sounds when sending to return channels in Ableton? How do you record it in the, I guess, in the track?
I mean, it's on resampling here. I always resample, I mean, on the master.
Okay.
So, I mean, here I always resample everything, resample. This is my way to create also the mix down. I create an audio track.
Yeah.
I create here resampling, and here you are everything on the record button, hide from the. Sorry, but I have the record button, hide from. Yeah. Here in this way, here I record everything. Very low because of the volume of. Yeah, but in this way I record everything. All this return, it goes on master. They go on master.
Yes.
Sometimes I also like to jam with the effects in send return. This is a nice question actually, because sometimes it's always nice to here. Ciao again. It's nice also to record the I don't know, this delay here maybe. So D, the return D. So I took the audio from return D. So sometimes I like a lot to this sound. So I make some weird setting on the delay, like a long feedback. Okay, so in this way, maybe I can use also, this is just the rating of the delay, and I can use again for other things like FX and everything. So sometimes I just record the return.
Got it. Yes, yes. So there were a couple of follow-up questions on that. So there is one question which is when you want to record everything. So that's resampling, right? So you are taking the
Yeah. Create an audio track and resample.
Amazing. And if you want to record separately just the return channel, let's say your delay channel.
Just like I did just now,
Mm-hmm.
I create an audio track and I choose the input from one of the samples here. So like I just did before, right? This one.
Yeah. So you create that.
The delay of the. I send serum to this delay, the D, H delay from waves. This I create an audio track, and I record just the delay from.
Yeah. So this way you can record whatever you want separately. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when I prepare the sound from the live set, or I'm putting solo. For example, here there is maybe I will put a reverb on it. My send now. This is a Lalla room. This is a delay, as you can see. And again, the sampling. And now we have both. There, yes, with the return.
Nice. Do you use always the same effects on return channels?
Yeah, actually, yes. I have the first three return. I have three different reverb. So one quite small, medium, and super long reverb. After that, I always have one delay, classic delay sometimes, a chorus delay, and a really long delay. Sometimes it's for filter, sometimes it's, I don't know, Valhalla delay, but one short, one chorus, actually, chorus is shorter, but so three reverb, three delay, and here three, again, a grain delay, Portal, this is amazing, there is a very powerful plugin from Output, and Altiverb, but the first six are delay reverb. Are always the same. So one short, one medium, and one really long. The same is more or less is the same for the delays.
And you use MIDI to then send individual tracks to these reverbs while you are recording.
What, sorry?
You're using a MIDI controller to then send different tracks to these return channels, right?
Yeah, I'm not super. I use MIDI controller, but I like also to draw with the mouse, actually, the automation. Yeah. Depends from the situation, of course. If I want maybe hear more reverb, we can draw with the mouse. Yeah, sorry. This automation on the send. Yeah, in this way. Sometimes I use, but I use more for jam with the synthesizer, like we did before with granulator, the MIDI controller. The send return, the automation on send return, I prefer to draw with the mouse, actually.
Got it. Thank you. A few more questions. So from Imogen, do you not use reverbs on insert if you have them on?
Yeah, for specific, yeah. I don't like to use too many different reverb on a track. I think three are more than enough, but sometimes, yeah, when you want a specific reverb, yes, of course.
Nice.
But not too many, because the reverb can create phase problem, actually. So if you use a lot of different reverb, actually the final result is not the best. So I suggest to use not then more 3-4 different reverb on a track.
Great. Few more questions going toward the wrap up. I think, okay, so there is one from AX, if this is your name, and Sam. So, okay, AX is asking, sound you played before you started to show Serum wavetable. What was the sound you played? I guess it was the granulator.
The sound?
You played before you showed us Serum.
It was granulator.
It was the granulator, yeah. And then the sample you played.
Yeah, this one, I think this one.
Yeah.
Was a jam with the ground. This one?
Yes. I think so, yes. And then Sam is asking, is the method you showed us is how you create your signature Zoom sound, I think. That was the question.
How?
So that's how you normally create your signature sounds.
Yeah, like I use also some VST. There is a Razor from Native Instruments inside Reactor. Yeah. And but like on the VSK series on Mord also, 50% of the synth I use on the track are from Serum or Granulation, so from wavetable. So actually, yes. I mean 50%. And sometimes I combine with normal VST. So maybe I try to copy the same modulation from, I don't know, from Razor. I try to copy the same modulation on Serum with importing the sample inside Serum. So you have a layer of synthesizer with similar modulation. And actually there is the most peculiar sound. You can get the most personal sound in this way.
Got it. Okay. Okay. And okay, a few more questions. If you have time, Francesco, if you have time, like another 5 minutes, we have.
Yeah, sure. Don't worry.
Thank you.
A pleasure.
So, okay, question from Robert. When you are processing and using a lot of reverbs and effects and sampling, you have a lot of unwanted frequencies. How do you clean and finalize your mix?
This is a nice question. I always like to also to equalize the reverb. So, like every plugin has an equalizer inside the reverb, but I always put another EQ after the reverb. I always use this. Sometimes also I can just emphasize some frequency or cut some frequency. But for example, now we have this sound. Here the tail of the reverb. So maybe it has too much bass frequency. So I like to cut a bit the reverb. Or sometimes I also can do the opposite. I really want more sub on the sounds, so I delete this one and I create another one like this. And maybe this is a nice way also to get sub with the reverb. This is some, can you remove just a bit, just for 2 minutes, the camera? Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So, as you can remove the bass from the reverb, you can also boost them. So, I use like now I'm just playing. I create this kind of sub just with the reverb. So I can clean, but I can also boost some frequency I like. So now, just with a reverb, we have this sound. This is actually a nice sub. Like even too much. It's sharp. So this was the question.
Yes.
So you can always, you have actually to clean the reverb. It's a nice feature that you can do with the reverb. You can also sidechain, you can also compress the reverb. Actually, I think effects in general, like reverb, delay, chorus, flanger, are more important as the sound source. So a nice sound with a synthesizer without the proper effects is not complete for me. So the FX chain has the same relevance of the source. Actually. For me, it's very important. So I strongly suggest to experiment with every kind of effects.
Yeah. And so follow-up questions on that. So can you tell us like what do you use on, so what compression do you use on kick and bass groups? And like, how do you go about it? Template that you always
I have a template. I always use template on Ableton. I don't know if you can set here. It's very, I don't remember here. I think you can set the template. The template is with, let me see, it's with compression. This from DMG Audio. And I also use, this is a multi-band compression for front filter. And there are different, sometimes I have a template, but sometimes it can be different. For example, I just discovered a new, very nice, is here, compressor is this one. So maybe in next 3 or 4 tracks, it's gonna be this one. So
this one is DC8C3.
This is, so yeah, I mean, I really know very well the Fab Filter bundle. So Fab Filter is, for me, is the standard, but it can change.
Got it. Okay, thank you. And on when you pick samples, for instance, now you took Massive Attack Angel. What are the rules? So the question is, can you release that track if you're using a sample from an existing track?
Yeah, okay. So the link that where you are going to receive a link, and in this link you can see like a track from Prodigy that is 90% based on sample, and also Fatboy Slim or Daft Punk. In this case, today we saw a sound design, so it's almost impossible to recognize. Also the bass actually is it's not really so. So yeah, of course, if you copy a melody, if you copy a lyrics, yes, it's not nice to release the track. But on like sound design tool, yeah, of course you can.
Got it. Also because you're synthesizing with that sample, so you're
yeah, but it's actually it's not copying in this way. It's not copying. So it's recording. Maybe here it's no more massive attacks actually. So yeah, of course. But on the link that you will receive, you can see that there are really Daft Punk are sometimes remixed that are not original track. Maybe from I don't know, James Brown, and there are really the song of James Brown maybe with a 909 on it. So yes, of course you can.
Nice. And last couple of questions. One is about mastering. Do you use always the same mastering engineer, or it depends on the label?
No, it depends on the label actually. I have some favorite mastering engineer, but it depends from the label.
Got it. Okay. And now this is the most asked question, which is, what synth do you use when you did the remix for Void the System by Weirwar?
Void the System, it was a layer of synthesizer, maybe with a sampler and with Razor from Native Instruments. Actually, it's an additive synthesis. There are like 3-4 VST additive synthesis. Like there is Loom, I think, it's really nice. But in that case, it was Razor.
Amazing. Okay. And there's a similar question, which is, what synth do you use for Fides et Honor on Mord?
Fides et Honor was a wavetable that I create by sampling inside my this one, my modular. I show you. I have there, but I can move the laptop. This is my wavetable module on the modular, and I create a wavetable using also this one. I create some wavetable. I import wavetable inside that that module, and but the wavetable came from sampling. So in the same way I show you today.
Amazing. And there was one more question, which was, okay, what EQ techniques do you use to make space in a track?
Yeah, this is a really long question. So it can be a really long answer. I don't know.
Yeah.
EQ, we can make just a lesson on a masterclass on EQ technique, actually. I don't know. It's depends from what kind of sound you have in a track. With EQ, sometimes you remove resonance, sometimes you boost resonance. It's almost impossible to answer on this question, actually. You need to create a balance from the sound. So, for example, we create before a kind, I think it was bass grain, this one. what we play has a lot of bass, and we use also the bass from Massive Attack. There is a conflict of frequency here, so I need to cut some frequency from this sample. So it depends from the interpolation with the sound actually.
Got it. Thank you. And last question, which is, when you're in the studio and you're making music, how do you keep inspired? How do you keep like having inspiration?
I don't know. Sometimes I think when I'm stuck with some idea, sometimes I think to the dance floor actually. I think maybe I just think what I would like in a dance floor. So.
Yeah. Even now when the dance floors are more...
Yeah, no, that's the problem from working on music right now, because it's a lack of inspiration for the reason. Because it's dance music, of course. I like techno, but I mean, techno is beautiful because there is also a specific place for techno, like a nice sound system, a dark room. Without that, it's quite hard to have an inspiration.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that was it. I think it was amazing, Francesco. Thanks so much for being with us.
I hope you enjoy. I hope it was helpful for you too. It was really fast. I suggest you to experiment with this tool. You can research more things on Google, on YouTube, and but yeah, wavetable and granular synthesis are, for me, the most powerful tools to get nice and personal sound design. Importing sample from, I told you, from different kind of music, old music, classic music, jazz, rock, I don't know.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I really hope you enjoy it.
Yes, I think we're getting tons of messages, like everybody's saying, amazing, thank you so much, inspiration, I got so much, I'm gonna start producing now. It's amazing. Just before I open and I unmute everyone so everybody can say at least hello, I wanted to make very quickly some announcements. Guys, if you like the session, of course, right here, we're gonna share all the feedback with Francesco, and that's super important. And couple of other announcements. If you need help, we're running an accelerator program where we help producers like you guys going from idea to releasing the tracks. If you need one-to-one support with any of us, reach out. I'm going to post the links in a second. And we're starting also a feedback circle. So we're basically offering people, if they want to send us the tracks, every couple of weeks, we're going to share our feedback on 6 producers. So the idea is that everybody gets value out of that on specific tracks they're working on. And next week we have Romek for another masterclass like this one. I'm gonna write down everything. And Francesco, after this call, I have made a list of all the instruments that you showed today, plus the tracks, the reference tracks. So we can send it to everyone. And then, yeah, I guess if they have any more questions, we can try to answer them.
Yeah, sure.
Francesco, thanks again. I'm going to unmute everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. It was very great for me. Hope you enjoy it.
Yes, give me 1 second. Mute all. Yes, unmute. How do I do it? Okay, guys, you can unmute yourself if you want to say hello, goodbye.
Grazie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers, man. Cheers, man. Cheers.
Looking forward to the next one. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Alex. Looking forward to